Good morning, Oak Park. I'm AnnaBella Peterson, and welcome back to the Axe.
And I'm Adrian. It's Monday, April 20th.
This weekend, the school district shared plans for graduation, so be sure to check your email for all of those details.
Speaking of those super important topics, I bet you probably have a few questions, and I know I do. Let's talk to today's special guest, Superintendent Dan Clemens. Dr. Clemens, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me on.
How do you feel students are doing so far with e-learning?
You know, we're really pleased with the engagement. We're having on a daily basis about 75% of our kids logging into Canvas or Seesaw, which is pretty good engagement because we know not all kids will log in every day. Even on Mondays, we're getting 50% participation. So we know that some kids may work Tuesdays and Thursdays, some may work Wednesdays and Fridays, but overall, we're really proud of our kids and our teachers for the job that's going on in e-learning.
And how has your job changed this month? And what do you miss about being out and about in the building with students?
Yeah, I certainly miss seeing our kids on stage and on the fields and in the classrooms. That's probably my favorite part of the job. I feel a little bit more disconnected, but certainly have the ability to answer a lot of questions. I would say the biggest thing that's changed, always at the forefront of my job, is the safety of our staff and students. I didn't used to have to spend quite so much time on it. Now I feel like that's what the focus is every day, is safety, trying to make accommodations for events that can happen, and just trying to figure out some budget issues, because if kids aren't physically in school and people aren't out spending money, it makes it very, very difficult for us to run our budget.
There have been so many questions these days for seniors, like last day, graduation, and more. On Friday, you answered many of those when you announced that the schools would be offering a month-long graduation celebration in May, with a virtual graduation scheduled for Oak Park on May 29th. What was the process like in planning so many changes for this graduating class? And how many people in the district are working on all of these events and aspects of the modified graduation celebrations?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I'd start off by saying we've had like 5 or 6 different plans since spring break. We knew in spring break that we weren't going to be able to return. We had looked at Hy-Vee Arena to rent out that for social distancing purposes and maybe keep it for 4 days, one for each one of the high schools. Then we found out that Hy-Vee could be a temporary hospital. And so then we started looking at other venues that were larger than maybe municipal and had better access for parking and such. And so as we were still looking down that pathway, I was communicating with the CDC and Clay County Health Department. And I was trying to get to the point of where I understood what crowd gatherings could look like in June, and what crowd gatherings could look like in July, and what crowd gatherings could look like in August. During that time, our staff was visiting with parents, kids, and other venues to see what might be available for us to celebrate you. And we weren't getting a lot of response because people were fearful to rent out their venues with what's currently going on in the environment. So as we continued to talk to Clay County, just last Thursday, I had my final call with them. And as we were visiting, crowd sizes in late July they're predicting between 100 to 200 people. And as I had mentioned, that some of our bands and some of our choirs are bigger than that. And I didn't know how we could have the traditional graduation that we've had in the past, where we typically have somewhere between 5,500 people and 7,000. We talked about staging it, several times. But what really started to worry me is that we weren't going to get to recognize you guys in the appropriate way for all of your hard work. I was fearful if we waited till July to make a plan for you, it would be too late, waiting to see what sizes could be. And so I asked our team, and when you ask how many people are involved, everybody that I work with, your principals, some of the counselors in your buildings, my cabinet, the Board of Education, everybody, Clay County Health Department, the CDC. I even talked to Mayor Lucas a few times, just trying to get a feel for where we might be. Until they get a vaccine or until there's some other work done, they won't extend. They're not going to extend to the extent we could have a traditional graduation. And then we started talking about breaking it down to 6 or 7 different smaller graduations. We feel like that took away from the ceremony that you guys deserve. And so we came to the drawing board and said, what can we do immediately to recognize kids and then continue to watch? And if things get lifted quicker than what we think or what we're being told, then how can we continue to add to the ceremonies for our seniors? And certainly, I want to say right up front, I recognize this isn't what you guys wanted, and it isn't what I wanted. Honestly, a traditional graduation is handled mostly in building. Your principals and teachers and everybody put that together. This is a lot more detailed, but certainly don't want you guys to do without. And I think that's the one message I want to say. We didn't want to wait till the 1st of July or mid-July, then to be validated that we could only have a couple of hundred kids or so, and then make tough choices where kids were leaving for the military, leaving for college, leaving for careers, and not have a chance to be celebrated. And I've talked a lot. I apologize, but I just wanted you to get a feel for what we are trying to do to recognize you.
Thank you for explaining that a bit more. I was still pretty confused about that. And on another note, over the weekend, a change.org petition was started by a senior on behalf of the district seniors, and nearly 2,800 people have signed it so far as of this morning. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I appreciate the students advocating for themselves. Certainly, if we could just say, let's have a July graduation, that would be wonderful. I guess where I'm at is I have to do what Clay County Health Department and the other regulations require of us. If students don't want to do the lead up to the graduation, I'd love to visit to find out what parts of that they don't want to do or don't feel appreciated with. But I think it's a huge gamble just to say, let's have a traditional graduation in July, because I don't think that's in my hands. I don't think that I can just say, hey, we're going to do it regardless of what the health department or the city would say. When the board hired me, the first job responsibility that I have is the safety of our students and staff. And I can't put a decision to have graduation against the recommendations of the health department over the safety and well-being of our kids and our community.
What makes you proud of your students, teachers, and support staff right now during this difficult time?
I think resilience and the ability to continue to communicate. I saw the petition this weekend, and I thought, well, I'm really proud of the kids for advocating for themselves, and certainly your principals, and I am open to adjustments in the plan. But what we can't do is change how many people can be in a site if that's what the health department and others tell us. That's the part I can't change regardless of how much I want to. But if there's other parts of the plan that we've missed, or if there's something we can do, if we find out in July that we can have bigger crowds, we'll certainly sit down with students and figure out what that needs to look like. But in terms of our staff and our students, I would just say I have an overwhelming amount of pride in North Kansas City, both in our students and our staff. I mean, we've been serving like 8,000 meals a day to kids, and I think that's an important thing. And people are out there, putting themselves at risk to make sure the kids are fed. We've had bus drivers running food out to different locations and such. And so I just really appreciate how people have come together to support our community.
I certainly have been benefiting from that free lunch.
Yeah.
Every day I've been getting those pretty good food. And thank you for having those thorough answers so far about graduation. I'm sure a lot of people have been confused about that. And it sounds like we have some awesome people working in the district right now. And in other aspects, do you have any tips for the students as they head into the last 5 weeks of the school week or school year?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading about what we can do and I would have probably 3 things I would say. And I think the first one was for them to stay connected. I don't want kids to feel like this is something being done to them, whether it be graduation, e-learning, whatever it might be. I want them to feel like they're a part of North Kansas City and a part of something bigger than just themselves or their school. I think you guys probably know me well enough that I am accessible. I will talk and try to do the best I can to support kids. I think the other thing is shift to what you can control. You know, we can be upset about things that are out of our control, like crowdsourcing or crowdsizing or social distancing or the stay-at-home order. Those things are kind of out of our control, but what can we control as young adults? You know, and I think it's important for us to remember that we have control over many things, whether it be your e-learning, whether it be getting into college, getting into different careers, different vocational opportunities. So stay in control of what you can during these times. And then I think that the last thing I would say is just remember, what we do is for the greater good of our community. And I think that that's really important for us to remember. We have a responsibility not only for the North Kansas City School District, but also for the community in which we live. And I know that you guys do this, but I want everybody to remember what we do is for the greater good of our community.
I'll definitely take that advice. Is there anything else you would like to share with the Oak Park viewers today?
No, I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of how hard you're working. I'm excited when I got the invite to be interviewed today. It told me kids are still being engaged, but I know Ms. Gephardt's not letting you guys off the hook. So certainly appreciate what you guys are doing for your school.
Thank you for sharing your time with our viewers today and those wise words, Dr. Clemens. We thank you for your time.
Thanks for watching Oak Park. Remember to be ready, responsible, and respectful. It's the Oak Park way. I'm AnnaBella Peterson.
And I'm Adrian Berry, signing off for all of us here at the Axe. Have a great day, Oak Park.